and welcome to episode 43 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Today is April the 28th, Sunday afternoon, and it is a very gloomy day, cold and gloomy, and it was raining, it's not anymore. You can find me on social media on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. We also have a lovely Ravelry group on Ravelry. It's called the Sweet Lavender Knits group. So come on by, check us out, and if you feel up to it, do join in and introduce yourself in the welcome thread. We also have a make-along that's going on right now, so you can find the details of that on the Ravelry group as well. I have a nice warm cup of tea here today. It is chilly outside, so I would suggest that you grab your needles, something nice to drink, your favorite project, and let's get started. On the calendar, we have the Find Your Frequency Make-Along, and the details of that are in the last episode. So if you just go back and watch the first part of the last episode, it should give you all of the details, or else you could also visit the Ravelry group and it has the details in there. It's basically just finding your frequency at this time, these strange times that we're in, and sharing a project that you would like to work on. It can be anything. It's a make along, so any project, any craft would work. Just kind of sharing how that project has inspired you for this make along and how it helps you find your frequency. It's basically what your creative outlet is at this moment and how you're coping with it. There are maybe 1 or 2 people in there, so I would encourage more. Go by, check it out. It can be the project you're already working on, double dip. I am fine with that. And we will have a physical price at the end of the make along, which I will send when the postal service is a little bit more stable. So it might be a little later than the end of the make along. And we will also have a midway price that I would probably do like a Ravelry pattern or patterns, we'll see. So yes, everyone is encouraged to come and join. Please do join, and the more the merrier, and it makes for some nice chatting and interaction. The other thing I wanted to say was an idea that I had. I really enjoyed doing a mini swap in Luli's podcast over last year, and that was a lot of fun for me, opening up the advents. So yeah, I thought it would be fun if everyone's up to it. We don't know how things are gonna go, but if it's something that I just wanted to throw an idea out there and have you think about it. How would you like to do a swap maybe in November? We could do a swap in November, and we could make it 10 grams and 10 minis of 10 grams. So you get like 100 grams of yarn, but 10-gram minis. And if you're not up to the 10 grams, just let me know what you can do. Yeah, so we could do like a swap of yarn, and let me know how you feel about that, and maybe we can get up some names and do some swap partners, or random picking of names or something like that. I think another thing to consider would be if you're willing to ship international, or would you be willing only to ship within your country, and we could see how it'll work out. So it'll give us something to plan towards. Maybe I thought that'll be a good thing. November is a long time away, so it'll give us lots of time to plan for it, and do sort of come up with something towards the end of the year, to celebrate the end of the year, which is always very nice. Okay, so that was I'm just calling it a swap of minis for now, but we'll see how it goes, and I would love to hear your feedback on it. If you could just drop me a line to say that that you would be interested in participating for these minis or not, I would be more than happy. That's all you need to say, really, if you want to. I'd really, because I am quite eager to see if there is anybody else who would like to do a swap. Not just with me, but you know, as a group. Okay. Yeah, so that is that. Now moving on to finished objects. This is both finished object and work in progress, but I will share it in finished objects for now because I like bringing things to finished objects. I don't have too many, you know me, so you already know that. Okay, so it's a crochet project, and you can guess what it is. It is housed in this little organza bag that we got chocolates in. So if you buy chocolates from Lind, the chocolate companies that we have here, and if you buy 100 of them, I think, yeah, they have like 100 count, they give it to you in these organza bags. So I have 1 or 2 of them because my husband is very fond of the chocolates. Just the reason I don't drink tea on the podcast, as much as I love tea, I love it, is because I don't like my tea getting cold. So I have to try and drink that up before it gets too cold. It's still hot, so it's okay. My finished objects are these. Okay, I have a whole bunch of mini squares, granny squares, and this has been so much fun. I've made a few of them, and this is working towards, well, these are my finished objects, and I have more here. It's working towards a Battenberg blanket. I'm afraid to say blanket. I'll tell you why, because every time I say blanket, I end up doing just about a square, and that's it. So for now, I'll just call them the Battenberg squares, and that's what I've finished. And I am working towards, I can just see like hair stuck to my jumper here. Yeah, and I've been able to join some of them too, which has been so much fun. And I thought this would be a little bit mindless, you know, because of the cream squares that you put in between. So it breaks up the colors, and I could just like randomly do it. I didn't want to analyze it as to the color placement and all of that. And like I said, I don't have a lot of different yarn that I can use. So I was trying to be as random as I can with it, but yet it still needs me to think a little bit, because I can't have dark colors next to each other, and so I've had to like place them far apart from each other, and bright colors, I've got to like mix them up, and I have quite a few of this color. It's Poiré by Herbstlat Regina, and I've done a sock in it. I've done heels and toes in another sock, and now it's at the end of it, I've used it all up. And I love this project because that's what it is. It is very little yarn, hardly anything, not even 1 gram, as far as what my scale is telling me. So yeah, I've just had a little play with it. This is actually a multicolored, I think it's a Regia, and it's just a multicolored, or what do you call it, rainbow stripe kind of a sock yarn from Regia. And I did 1 square there, and there's another square. It's all from the same yarn, but you can see that every time it comes off, it comes out different because of the different colors in the yarn, striped yarn. So yeah, it's got nice memories, which I really like, and I like the Battenberg blanket pattern. It's a pattern by Sandra Cherry Heart, and I resisted the urge for a very long time because it's a blanket, and I thought I would just not be able to go through with it, but I cast it on, and I told myself, even if I'm just gonna end up doing as much as a cushion cover, you know, the size of a cushion cover, well, so be it, but I will try. The cream I'm using is Holzgarn, and it is on the super soft base called, the colorway is called Ecru, and it is 100% wool. Yeah, it has the cake holds 575 meters under 100 grams. But of course, this is all I have. Maybe another cake I have somewhere. But of course, that's not enough for a blanket. So I did do a purchase, and it is on its way. I don't know when I will get it, but I have a lot in the meantime here to keep me going with it. The hook that I'm using is, what size is it? 3mm hook, and it is just a generic hook. Actually, it's a set that I got off of Amazon. It was either Amazon or eBay, and it's a really nice set. I don't know if it's clover, I can't remember, but it is definitely got the grip, and the cushion is nice. It's really nice. It's got the hooks and all the different sizes that I would ever need, really, I think. Yeah, so again, that is my finished object and one of my works in progress that I just have in this organza bag. The next finished object is the elephant in the room, and that is the Rogaine pullover that I have on today. I am super excited to share this pullover with you, just to share this finished object with you, because it seems like it took me such a long time, and I felt like I've knitted the whole thing twice because I've had to do so much back and forth with this project, and I loved it. I loved the color of it. Will I knit this pattern again? If I do, there's nothing wrong in the pattern. It's just that I don't know. Apart from this, what did it call? It's a, oh, words fail me. But just apart from this design that is on the neck, the yoke, I think I would modify the rest of the whole jumper, and then would it still be the Rogaine pullover? I don't know. So that's the only thing, but I really like, oh, it's the Guernsey style that she has going on. So let me just give you a close-up. I will stand up so you can see it, and there I modified the sleeves to make it more tapered. The sleeve came out a little long for me, a little floppy maybe, even with my tapering, but I think it just loosened up a little bit after my blocking. So that's what it did. I blocked it, and I will just step back a little bit maybe so you can see. There, that's the back. It hits right below my bum that I usually like, and ignore the lumps and bumps, as I usually say. And there is that sweater. So let's talk about the pullover. First, the yarn. This is Swish DK by Knit Picks in the colorway Bordeaux, and I love the color. I love the color. I think it's really nice. You know, I think it would go with a lot of skin tones. Very rich color it is, and I have to say that when I was washing it, the water was very slightly pink, just very slightly, and this is the first time I've seen that in a commercial yarn. But having said that, like, it is still a very rich color, and it looks really nice. It looks a little lighter. It's a little darker in person than what it's showing up on the camera. I'm not sure. If I have to play it back to see how it does look. After blocking, the sleeves kind of opened up a little bit, even with me trying to, you know, make sure that it was tapered and well done. And I think that has to do a little bit with the yarn maybe, and with my gauge, because I tend to do my ribbing in the same needle as I knit with it, and it always says to go down the needle size for the ribbing, but I tend not to, because I don't like the cinched in look for me, and that's so I do it on purpose. And I think in this case it kind of did not work, and I should have maybe used a smaller needle. I like the tapered sleeve because I do have a larger upper arm. So the tapered sleeve was an alteration that I did, a modification that I did to the pattern. And the other major modification that I did was the hemline. Now, I talked a lot about it in the episode before the last, I think, where I wanted to rip back the hemline, where the pattern has a split hemline, and I just ripped it. I knit it all up and then I ripped it back because I didn't like it, and I did like sort of like a curved hemline. I think it turned out pretty well for the first time, so no complaints about it. It's a great sweater. It is really nice and warm. It's cozy. The other thing was the neckline, and I've heard a lot of people say this. For those that have knit the Rogaine sweater, Rogaine pullover, I got the inspiration to knit the Rogaine because of Amy from Stranded Dye Works, Stranded podcast. She has knit, I believe, 2 or 3 Rogaines, I'm not sure, but she's done quite a few of them, and she had a dark blue one that I really liked, and that's where the inspiration for me knitting it came from. And she had the same issue where the neckline came out a little too wide, and so when I was knitting up the neckline, I consciously went I took it in a few more rows than the pattern called for, and you can see that even with that, it's pretty wide. Like if I didn't wear this t-shirt underneath, it would be too wide for me. And but with the t-shirt, I think it's okay. It's all right. It has a little bit of a casual look, but the Guernsey design on it definitely adds gives it that a little bit of a nice look to it, which is nice. It's not too casual, and it's not very dressy either. So it's a perfect balance for me. I like it. I'm very happy with the pullover. Like I said, if I were to knit the pattern again, I would do a lot of modifications on it, and the only thing that I would really keep true to the pattern would be the Guernsey design. I like this curved hem. I would make it a little bit shorter maybe, and definitely the modifications that I have done with the sleeves I would repeat again. So yes, that is that. I am not very good at writing out my modifications because I kind of just work it as I go along. But if there's any part of it that you have any questions on, do let me know, and I can try to help you through it on a pattern that you're working on. I'm more than willing to do that. Yes, so those are my finished objects, and now moving on to works in progress. I better speak fast because it's starting to get a little darker outside. Moving along to the next work in progress, I have empty needles here, but I'm not quite finished with it, is my Winterfell jumper by Ellie from Skein Deer Knits. So I have now finished the hem. I've knit up the body completely, and this is where I was, the little cake slice project keeper that there, and I have now finished it. So it doesn't look like it's a lot, but I don't know where where my time has been. Oh, yeah, that's right. I wasn't feeling well, and I did put in a lot of time into the squares, the little granny squares. Because when I start off on a project, I just get so caught up with it. Do you do that too? Yeah, so anyways, as far as the yoke, and I tried it on and I love it. I love how it fits on me. It looks really nice, and I can't wait for the sleeves to go on. So I'm going to be picking up for sleeves, but I thought this would be a good point to share it with you. And maybe the next time when you see it, it'll be, hopefully it'll be with sleeves on. And the only thing I can tell you at this point is I came across this new cast on. It's new to me. I've never tried it before, but I love it. It's called the Icelandic bind off. Did I say cast on? I meant bind off. It's called the Icelandic bind off, and it was a tutorial that I watched by Very Pink Knits. She has great tutorials, and I've learned so much from her, so many different techniques from her. Great resource if you are wanting a very short and quick, concise video. Very hands-on, very with well-instructed video. It is, all of her videos are like that. So this is the Icelandic bind off. I will try to get close so you can see how it is, and it has a very rolled edge to it. It is well, this is how it is. So it has a very rolled edge, and it is so much easier. It gives me the feel of a tubular bind off. Obviously, with the loose gauge that this pullover has, or jumper has, you can see my hands through it. So it has quite a loose gauge on it. That is not the pattern. That is the gauge that I've chosen to use for this yarn, and I'm okay with it for now. But this bind off, you can see it ties it well. It doesn't become all wavy at the end or anything. It's quite straight in spite of it being a very loose gauge. And I tried the tubular bind off. And for anyone who's tried the tubular bind off, you already know that it's like 3-4 steps to it. And I'm glad I put it in a lifeline before I started that, because I didn't like how it looked. It looked a little frilly, which I didn't like, and it was frustrating because I lost count, and it's black yarn, so it was really hard to see, and it was just very challenging. So I am glad I went with the Icelandic bind off. I just wanted to try something different. I like to learn a new technique or something new in every project, and to me, I think with this project, it's been the Icelandic bind off so far. And now I have just put in another ball of yarn ready to cast on the sleeves. And I have to say, this yarn is very, very economical for yardage wise. It is a very big ball. It says it's 100 grams. I have some left over after I knit the whole body, and all of that took just the one ball of yarn. So it's very economical for me. Yes, so let me take another. Moving along to my next work in progress is my Elton cardigan by Joji Locatelli, and I haven't shown it to you in a while, or maybe I did last week, last time, I can't remember actually. But I have made a little bit of progress, and I've made some progress that you can't see, so I would just tell you about it. So this is where I was the last time with this little Danish right here, and I knit to the end of it and had to put it on waste yarn, and then go and knit the other side. And you will have to take my word on this, but this is the second time I knit whole thing. I knit almost all the way to the end, and then realized that the way I had picked up the stitches on the top, remember I told you that I had this issue with how it looked on the top just because of the cast on that I did. I did a fancy tubular cast on, which you didn't have to, or yeah, I think it was a tubular cast on that you didn't have to, and so it left me with this ridge that I didn't like. So, but then when I went to pick up on the second side, this is the second side, it didn't match the way I'd picked up on the first, and I only realized that when I got to here, and I couldn't go on with it like that. So I had to rip it all the way back, and ripping back mohair is a nightmare. Sometimes it can be, but fortunately I was able to do it all in one piece, and maybe just right towards the end I had to break off the yarn because I couldn't be bothered. But yes, and then I picked it up, and now it sort of matches a little bit better, or it looks more even on both sides, as you can see. Can you see that? Okay, I'll show it to you one at a time. There. It's really hard to show the lighting here. There, that's the one side, and then there's the other side. So you can see a little bit of a line, but the line doesn't show very well on the camera, but it looks pretty even. There, and there. There, and there. So yeah, so then now I've just gone ahead and picked up where it is knitting all the way from from the, you know, your left side, and you go all the way around and then back again. So I'm doing stockinette, which makes a lot more sense to me now, and so I am liking this. The yarn is Holzgarn, the Holzgarn, and it is in their tide space, and the color is Bloom, and the mohair is by Bordeaux, Milda Bordeaux, and I don't know if she has colors for her yarn, but this is a very soft ballet slipper pink. Yes, lovely yarns. Love working with both those yarns. They're very nice. It's just that the mohair can be a little frustrating at times, where it gets in your nose and all over your clothes. If you're wearing black, it's like everywhere on you, but it's all good. And then the third work in progress is that my third, well, sort of third and fourth work in progress is a project that I've just cast on. So a little bit of background to that is that a long time ago, I don't even know when I stopped working on this project, I cast on the Madewell by Joji Locatelli in this yarn, and I knitted it. It's a camel color, and the yarn is Mirasol Sulca Legato. It's shade 4, and it has merino, 60% merino wool, 20% alpaca, and 20% silk. It's got beautiful drape. It's very soft. It's beautiful yarn, and I just fell out of love with the pattern. Knitting it just became boring for me, very, very boring. It's just stockinette, and it was supposed to be my intention for this pattern, picking this pattern and just, using this yarn was, the intention was just to have a staple cardigan in my wardrobe, something in a very neutral color that I could wear with many different things. But the stockinette was just so boring, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I just lost love with it and just put it away. But I think I found new purpose for the yarn, and maybe the pattern, the Madewell pattern, will be good with another yarn at some other point. But for now, I've come up with something that I want to really, really do. And it is, like I was mentioning before, over last Christmas, I had many of these Advent minis that I was opening from the swap that I'd done, and each time when I opened it, I knew what I wanted to do, and I was inspired by Kia of Kia's Bod podcast. She has a lovely podcast. So Kia had knit with her minis or Advent minis. She had knit herself a cardigan, and it is the Karla by. It's a free pattern on the Fennel Yarn website, and she had knit herself a cardigan and looked really nice. So I wanted to do the same, and I've been saving my minis, and I've been really trying to figure out what was the background color that I wanted to use. And I tried a gray. I tried to, you know, pick up a gray, one of my yarns, a gray yarn, and you know, shopping from Stash has been so much fun, really. But yeah, so anyway, I picked up the gray and, you know, placed it with all of the colors, and the gray just sort of like dulled it up a little bit more, and I wanted something just to like bring out those colors but also have a very neutral background, and this yarn works. So that's what I did. So here it is, another cake of it that I'd already caked up, really, so it was ready to go. And so this morning, this is what I did the first 2 hours in the day: a tubular cast on for the Karla. The pattern is a jumper, but I am going to knit it as a cardigan. So I cast on, and I tell you, it's no fun doing the tubular cast on for 350 stitches, okay? It took forever and a half, and even then I wasn't sure if I'd done it right. And of course, with 350 stitches, you know, with the knit and the purl, you're doing ribbing, I was bound to like mess up somewhere in between. So somewhere there I did mess up, and then I messed up again just to correct that mess. And so I have two spots where it's not so, you know, not so perfect, but we won't focus on that. But when I did, I was knitting it back and forth for the tulip part of it, and then I realized, no, you know what, I didn't want to do the back and forth because there's color work in this. So I have done like a backward loop cast on for 5 stitches and just joined in the round now. Now I know this is not very conventional and this is not the way you do things, but I'm going to use these 5 stitches, and I'm going to try, this is going to be my new to me technique with this pattern, is I'm going to try steeking it. So we'll see how it goes. And I got the tubular tubular cast on done, and I love it. It looks nice. It looks very even on the bottom, and it is really nice yarn. The needles that I'm using, this is 3mm needles, and I am listening to the pattern this time. And I have my larger needles, which are going to be the 3.25. These are the higher sharps, fixed circulars, and I believe this is a 40-inch cord. Yeah. And if you're wondering, the blue markers are just to mark the 5 stitches in between that are going to be the steeking stitches. And the red markers are every 50 stitches. I just marked it like that because I think it will help me keep track of the pattern repeats as I do them, and it was just easy for me to count. That I am really liking that, and I'm happy that I just, you know, found a purpose for this yarn because I loved the yarn when I picked it up. I liked that it had alpaca and silk in it. It's going to have drape. It's going to even out all of the different yarns that I've received. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't know how it'll behave, but we'll find out when we get there, right? Yes. So that's what it's that's all the knitting. And so if you're here only for the knitting content, thank you for staying this long, and I will catch you again the next time. I'm just going to continue with a little bit of a chat to speak about what's been going on with us over the last couple of weeks. So first of all, I want to say I hope all of you are doing very well and being safe and really finding some kind of norm in these strange times. I know with me, it's become a little bit more of a routine now, through the week especially, like you in the mornings. I have a routine before I sit down to work, and even during the work, because you know when you're working from home, I have that flexibility of being able to get away from the desk to go prepare a meal for the family, or help with some of the chores a little bit, you know, and then come back to continuing with the work, and it really breaks up the day that way. And I find that I'm much more productive with my work, as well as with how many other things I'm doing outside of work. And one of them has been being able to knit. Like you see, I have been able to do a lot more projects, and I've enjoyed doing all of the projects that I have done. I was actually quite set on filming a podcast last weekend, but then I ended up getting this very bad cold, what I thought was a cold, and just being very, very under the weather for a couple of days till I figured out, or till I found out that it was seasonal allergies. And it's a little strange for me because I've never suffered seasonal allergies before, but both my parents do have have them. So it's been very hard in the mornings because I feel very, very congested, and you know, every day starts off like a little foggy in my head, and then it gets better through the day. I am congested even right now. You probably can hear a little bit of it, but it's okay, it's bearable. And as far as the situation here, I'm grateful and thankful for all of your wishes and all of those that have shared with me that we're doing okay for now, and we're fortunate that we have family close by, and we're able to keep in touch with everyone. And I am okay. I'm okay with it, and I really hope that all of you are, especially if you live alone. And many of you have reached out to me with your kind comments, and I really thank you for it, and said that you didn't have a knit night either, and you're enjoying being able to sit down and knit, and you know, be part of this knit night. And I thank you for that. I really do. I've been able to, the weather outside has been really crazy over the last week. We've had all kinds of weather within the last week. I think we've had all the seasons. We've had snow, we've had hail, we've had thunderstorms, we've had bright, hot, sunny day. We've had just winds picking up and howling through the night, and you know, I was not able to sleep well through some of the nights because of the wind. And it's just been a crazy week, but I think it's like that in a lot of places, not just here. So outside is not ready for us to do anything in the garden or anything like that. I have not been motivated to actually like just go out in the garden to poke around, but from where I can see, I know that the hellebores are coming back. My daffodils are in bloom, and I think I'm looking forward to the tulips blooming in the front yard, and when they do, I'll probably take some pictures to share with you guys. But other than that, I've been really, like this morning and yesterday, we planted some seeds for some vegetables that I want to try and grow from seed this year. I have tried from seed before, but I lose interest when they don't do well or when they get leggy. But this year I'm trying to be a little bit more more hands-on with it, and so yeah, I am looking forward to that. So I think I've rambled on for enough. I thank you very much for joining me today. It's been such a lovely time sitting here and sharing these projects with you, and I hope all of you will continue to stay safe, stay home as much as possible. You're doing yourself a favor as well as everybody around you. I hope all of your loved ones are taken care of, and that we all find our frequency and somehow find solace in our crafts, whether it be knitting, crocheting, or any other crafting that you're doing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you stayed till the end, I really do thank you. Don't forget to join in with the Find Your Frequency make-along that we have. Please do leave your comments down below. I would love to hear from you, and thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy knitting. Bye-bye.